As we ring this bowl, we affirm that these lands that we love, these lands that are covered now in blessed snow that is nourishing the earth, these lands that we love are the ancestral lands of the Yavapai people, the Cuevquepayas, the Tolquepayas, the Wipuquepas, and the Yavapai. Today, we are also ringing our bowl for our hope for peace and for the celebration of birthdays. I know Judy is here. Yay, happy birthday, Judy. And she has many people with her, so you who are on Zoom can imagine the sanctuary at this moment. And there's Lou on the other side. Is anyone here who has anyone besides Judy who has a January birthday and is willing to admit it? Brian Willison, yay! We celebrate you as well. And he has been a snow warrior. When Mary Lou and I arrived, we saw him out there shoveling snow. And we are so happy that he and his family are part of our community. Thank you. And I wonder how many of you saw the dawn this morning? No, didn't happen. There was no dawn this morning. Okay, well, that's good because we're going to sing a song about it. So you can just imagine the most beautiful dawn that you have ever seen. And in it, the New Year's Day dawn was beautiful. Okay, so we'll remember the New Year's Day dawn. So, and we're going to imagine that dawn spreading out through, I am always so impressed when I go to the Dewey area and Chino Valley as to the vistas that you can see. And that is what we experienced in the Sonoran Desert and why we wrote this song, Sonora Morning. Now I want all of you to imagine as you listen to this song.
When I think that light congregation. Judy, we take you over there? Yeah, we're going to join the congregation. Is that your...
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Granite Peak Unitarian Universalist Congregation. I am Deirdre Schwartz. Oh, wait a minute. I wasn't supposed to be doing this morning. I should have read through this first. I am Jack Wood, your replacement worship associate for today. We warmly welcome you on this snowy Sunday in Prescott, Arizona. We're so happy that you're able to join us today here in the sanctuary and the vast crowd on Zoom as well. We're hoping that you're all in good health, and if you're not, we're hoping that you're wearing one of those masks, even at home on Zoom. The mission statement of this congregation is, we are a compassionate spiritual community that celebrates diversity, nurtures the personal and spiritual growth of all ages, shares our gifts, promotes justice for all, and serves the world we live in. Please join us in Davis Hall after the service today for coffee and conversation and birthday cake. For you on Zoom, you know who you are. And if you can make it in after the plows hit the streets, in time to join us for cake and coffee, please do so. And if you can't make it in and you're on Zoom, there'll be breakout rooms that you can join us in after the service. If you're joining us for the first time, we welcome you and are glad that you're here. Please check out our website at prescottuu.org for more information about our Granite Peak community. But if you're here in person, there will be time to introduce yourself at the end of the service, and please stay and chat with us over coffee, cake, tea, etc. We thank our pianist, Lena Eubin, who made it here today, and so many members of our choir who are now sitting in the audience. I knew I was going to be doing a reading today, so I checked my iPhone for the past several days, and it assured me that we'd be getting snow today. It predicted 1/10 of an inch, and that was in conflict with the National Weather Service, which is guaranteeing us 3 to 5, so here we are. I also thank all of our Sunday morning volunteers, including especially our snow removers. Thank you. For the few of us who are here today, let's check our phones and make sure that they are on silent mode. I believe we had some announcements on the screen before the service started. And in addition to those, you can read about other things happening at Granite Peak in the weekly Peak newsletter, which is on our website, and in Reverend Patty's videos. And we have some printed copies of the announcements at the welcome table. Is Sandra here today or no?
She's stuck in the snow, but she's on her way.
Sandra Palacio, our faith development leader, is stuck in the snow. She's on her way. And if there are any kids here, they're probably outside doing snow angels. So. We begin our service in the Unitarian Universalist tradition of lighting the chalice. Our chalice lighter this morning is Reverend Patty. For the new year, just a days old, beginning today, always beginning. We light our chalice, symbol of faith, perseverance, and hope, in astonished thanksgiving and irrepressible praise. For beginnings that emerge out of endings appear amidst continuity, become visible in hindsight. We light our chalice, symbol of faith, perseverance, and hope, in astonished thanksgiving and irrepressible praise. And all the ways we have begun anew together. We light our chalice, symbol of faith, perseverance, and hope, in astonished thanksgiving and irrepressible praise.
I can speak from here.
Success. Last week it wouldn't stay lit, this week it doesn't light.
Oh, Norma, I'm glad you made it back home from being here with us. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, and good morning, all of you on Zoom. Wow, I see Roger Jenkins is with us, and Kathleen, and Mark, and Warren Miller. I bet Bronwyn is dancing out of sight. Welcome, welcome to this happy service. Winter is here. Yesterday, we went out in the darkness of the morning and began a walk and had to come home because Louie's feet were too cold. It felt much too cold for his bare feet in the darkness. So Mary Lou and I went ourselves, walking briskly to warm up, and the air was clear and delicious as it is here. And last night, the sunset spread through the trees in all directions. We had it's the first one I've really seen that was 360 degrees and in the forest. The color was very deep in the west, lighting up the trees, and then it became paler and paler to the north and the south, but it was still there in the east, outlining the trees with pink. After that, we watched the night gather and saw the deer going home. And we stayed inside last night listening for snow, which we didn't hear until this morning. The solstice has passed, and the nights still feel long, but not to those of you who have lived in Alaska, for example. They feel short here, I'm sure. And I wonder what this season has sparked for you. It has made us clear things, all manner of things. And I am glad that we don't live in the far north. For the rising of the sun at 7:37 a.m. this morning felt just right to me. Morning has broken. Could it feel like the very first day of this earth? Let us rise in body or spirit and sing, morning has broken. Thank you. That was beautiful. And there's Wilfred and Peggy recovering from COVID. May you be well. And now we are going to say our covenant together. And let us say these words mindfully, really thinking about them, not just getting through them. Love is the doctrine of this congregation, the quest for truth its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, thus do we covenant together. And now we will have a stewardship moment with Stephanie Willison, who's with us here, but it is recorded. Let's listen.
Hi everyone, my name is Stephanie Willison, and my husband Brian and I joined Granite Peak in April of 2023. I was raised in a Unitarian Universalist church in suburban Dallas, and Brian and I felt called to find a progressive community here in Prescott as our children are becoming young adults. We've been in Prescott since 2012, and I have despaired in the rise of hate, racism, and anti-LGBTQ sentiment in our area. It was when I thought back to my childhood, I remembered that the UU Church was my happy and safe place where my ideals and values were validated. I thought maybe I could find that again, and I have. What I found at Granite Peak was a home for my liberal spirit, a place where I know that everyone will be welcomed in. Reverend Patty quickly understood where I was coming from, and when I mentioned a social event I remembered from my childhood church, Progressive Dinners, Patty said, "Do it!" So I organized our first progressive dinners, and they were a success. Then somehow I mentioned to somebody something about Instagram, and boom, I was on the communications committee, helping to update our Instagram and Facebook pages. I believe in the mission of this congregation and our covenant, which is almost the same as the one I grew up with. I still stumble over a few of the words here and there. And it was clear to me that pledging our financial support was also vital. It would be amazing if the universe just said, wow, these folks are great, I'll provide everything they need. But unfortunately, the universe cannot pay an electric bill, payroll, or buy new carpet. It takes people giving what they can, and then maybe the next year, giving a little bit more. I pledge because I want our staff to be paid a fair and living wage, because I want our building to be beautiful, I want our food pantry to be abundant, and I want us to be able to help members and friends who find themselves in need. Our pledge does a little bit for all of these things. Helen Keller said, "Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much." I believe in doing my little part so that when it is combined with your little part, together we can do so much. As a middle-aged Gen Xer, I even pledged online, and it was so easy. I would encourage you to do the same.
Job, Stephanie. I think you should give coaching lessons on stewardship moments. That was great. That was great. And now I invite you into a different part of our service, which is where we consider all that is on our hearts and minds, our joys and our sorrows. So please listen to the sound of this bell once more, and let us breathe together. Let us breathe together and see in our mind's eye this beautiful earth covered in a layer of snow, the sunlight sparkling on the trees, the beauty that is ours in this part of the world, and the beauty that is this world. As every week, we come to this place, either virtually or in person, with many feelings, with with the joys and sorrows of our week, of our families, and of this world. Many are resting now, and some are on Zoom, are recovering from COVID. There's, as I mentioned, Peggy and Wilfred Beaupre, Alan and Phyllis Laughlin and their daughter Cassie, Nancy and Frank Beeson. And we also especially hold Joyce Dennison, who is in the last months of her life. And we hold Dixie King, who is amazingly doing well in all that she is engaged in right now with her physical therapy. And we hold her sister, who broke her neck last week and is waiting for a very difficult surgery. We hold them. And we continue to hold Vlesta, who is mourning the death of her husband in the last weeks. And we hold our own sad hearts as we mourn Jack Stanton, who passed away this week. I have been in contact with his family, and I will let you know when a memorial service will be done. And the memorial service for Randy Phillips will be this coming Saturday. Let us breathe in together and enter a time of meditation. Lena will be playing some music on the piano. It is during this time that we invite you to come and put stones in the water to signify this water is like our community, and when you put a stone, it ripples out to remember that we are here through all of each other's joys and sorrows. And I begin putting 2 stones for my brother's daughter and her daughter. Of meditation and prayer. Spirit of life, we join in great joy of a 95th birthday with family around and happiness. We also lift up our sad hearts as the passing of Jack Stanton, a beloved member of this community in the past week. We hold all those who are ill, and we hold this earth, the many wars that are raging here and there, and we join our hearts in a hope for peace. Amen, and may it be so. And now let us sing together, walking, walking with you.
As we prepare to take the offertory this morning, let us recognize and appreciate the connections and community that we have here each week. This congregation and its wide array of programs are supported by your generosity. We give back to the greater local community through our Seeds of Support program. This month we are supporting Hungry Kids. The Hungry Kids Project's mission is to prepare our students to learn by eliminating childhood hunger in the Chino Valley schools and the Mingus Springs Charter School, Humboldt, Mayer, and Prescott Unified School Districts. A significant percentage of Prescott area children qualify for the free and reduced food programs at local schools. Beside this, many children are homeless by federal definition. Homeless means no set nighttime residence, living without adequate electricity, running water, or heat, staying with various friends and neighbors. Please refer to the order of service for how this project works. You can also visit Hungry Kids' Facebook page, which is linked from our website under Seeds of Support. If you're here in the sanctuary today, you know how it works during the offertory. And if you're online, there's also a link available in the chat section, or you can go directly to the website. Please enjoy our offertory music. When You Wish Upon a Star by Lena. We acknowledge the generosity of your Spirit expressed through this offering. What you have given in love is received in gratitude. Blessed be. Mystery in the Aspens. reported by Brian Hamilton in the New York Times, November 14th, 2023. 3 minutes before the weekly mental training session, motorized curtains drop and gradually erase the panorama of pines and aspens crawling up the side of Humphreys Peak. The lights go down. No vista of 12,000-foot mountains set against blue sky over the next 20 minutes. Only a smiling performance psychologist on the auditorium screen for the athletes seated in the first 4 rows, the lissom caretakers of a modern sports dynasty, snacking on health bars and yogurt after a lift, ready to meditate. Breath is meditation's most basic focus, they're told. For many cultures, breath is known as spirit. It's a sermon to believers. The closed eyes and quieted minds in the room belong to Northern Arizona's cross-country team, a group that obsesses over oxygen and generally has mastered what to do with it. The program has won 6 of the last 7 men's NCAA championships. It finished second the other time. Meanwhile, on this particular Wednesday in October, the school, Northern Arizona University, has the nation's #1 men's team and #1 women's team. That hasn't happened anywhere in 15 years. As long as you're breathing, intones Shannon Thompson, the performance consultant running the session, there's more right with you than wrong with you. We're going to take a moment now and join the choir in singing Meditation on Breathing.
Words are really hard, so really concentrate. They go breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And the music's also pretty complicated. Could you play the C? Or just the C. And you can do that in octaves, above voices. Okay, let's try it. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. You got it. Breathe. You got it. Yeah, keep going. Breathe in, breathe out. When
Well, thank you. From the top row, Mike Smith watches with a hand on his chin and a black Adidas hat pulled low. His first job was teaching elementary school. Never expected to do this. Too many weekends at meets. He wound up as an assistant for Northern Arizona's first championship team and has directed the program to its next 5 titles as head coach. He's a guy who has Navajo sculptures, a quote from Paracelsus, and a book about John Wooden on display in his office. He's a seeker. In this job, he's after the way to protect something by letting it go. After the meditation ends, Smith takes a seat in the front of his team. No one has said anything about the new national rankings, and he congratulates them. Rankings fool you into thinking something is done, he says. They make you daydream about outcomes, and outcomes don't help you inside the race. Someday you'll be at the Olympic trials, and you want to be the one to start by not trying to make the Olympic team, Smith continues. That's the hack. That's the cheat code. Because when you're not trying to make the Olympic team, you're left with just racing the race. You want to spend all your time thinking about what you're going to do and not what's going to happen. That works. I'm positive that works. Smith closes by telling everyone to enjoy the nice weather before it turns. It's about a month before Northern Arizona races for a 7th National Men's Championship. The Lumberjacks have as much or more talent than anyone. But if they win, if the dynasty reaches another peak in the distance, that won't be why. They'll win because they don't need to.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you. Through the ages, wisdom has been passed down that challenges us to think creatively. The Japanese often came up with a proverb for us when times were rough. When we were in a hurry to accomplish something that was really hard, like performing in one of their traditional spaces, our friend would say to us, "Isogeba maware." If you are in a hurry, go around. I wonder what wisdom you have heard in your lives at just the right moment. I wish at this time we could use the chat or perhaps that screen for people to write all kinds of wisdom, like we could create together a word cloud. Maybe if I talk with Martin after the service, we can figure out how to do that for a future service. In this article that Jack read from, and indeed he introduced this article to me, a running coach, Mike Smith, through his years as an athlete and then a coach, he connected with some ancient wisdom around spiritual work that is needed in order to do one's best. And I hope, using this metaphor from sports, that today is the beginning of a relay. I want you to take this idea on like a baton and run it in your own way and see what ideas come up for you. The reading begins with a meditation training, and many of the athletes sitting there meditating are world-class runners. They are vigorously training, running on those beautiful trails around Flagstaff. Meditation is not a replacement for training. And of course, these athletes want to be in the Olympics, or they want to win first place. And they are being called to shift their perspective from outcome or winning, which is the natural perspective, to being. Coach Mike Smith says to them, you want to be the one to start by not trying to make the Olympic team. That's the hack. That's the cheat code. Because when you're not trying to make the Olympic team, you're left with just racing the race. These ideas were of interest to the New York Times because they are working. By not trying to win, these athletes are winning. Beyond and underneath their vigorous training, they are working hard at being present. Present to the race, to their fellow team members, and interestingly, present to the earth that they encounter with each step. In the autumn last year, at the peak of the aspens, but unfortunately on a smoky day, Mary Lou and I went to those forests near Flagstaff, and we felt that incredible beauty, very similar to the beauty that is around here in Prescott. And the coach wants these athletes to think about the people who were there before. The mountains are spiritual places to the Navajo, he tells them. His job, as he sees it, is to coach in a facility that's basically been a church for thousands of years. To succeed, these athletes are grounding themselves in the holy. And grounded in the holy, they practice mindfulness with each step that they run. They are present. They are just racing the race. And they are intentionally not focusing on a goal, not focusing on winning. This is another place, grounded in the need for mindfulness, where I wonder, what could we learn? What could we learn from not focusing on making our goals come true, from not focusing on winning? First of all, I wonder what our goals are. What does winning look like to us? From before I came here, from my first conversations with the search team, I heard you talk about attracting new members, young families and children. Does that sound familiar? I know there are only a few of you, but you want to wave if that sounds familiar to you online? I see some hands. In our faith development coordinator, Sandra Palacios, we have some work that is very similar to this coach. She has opened the doors wide to our neighborhood and friends. We have a growing and vital faith development program that looks quite different from any program we have ever had. She opens the doors wide across the street, and then she creates engaging activities, the products of which you can see during the birthday party on our children's art wall. I don't think she's thinking, by damn it, we want to grow. Where are those children? Instead, she's actively inviting children from all kinds of places to come. And when they come, she is present to them, and she prepares activities that sparkle. And in that place as well, where our faith development is our food pantry that has also been attracting lots of people from our neighborhood. In community meetings, we at Granite Peak have talked of creating more of a welcome in our building. And in our community chat next week, we will be talking about ideas that the project team has come up with to make that happen physically to our space. These are things that we can do. But then it would be easy to jump to the outcome and keep that goal of bringing people in on our minds, of wanting to somehow increase our membership. And Coach Mike Smith is telling us that isn't the way to make a goal happen. For as he says, outcomes don't help you inside the race. And in some ways, I believe we are always inside the race. As I said at the beginning of this sermon, I want you to be thinking, coming up with your own ideas. Here are some I have thought of because I've had a head start. I've known about this article since November. So first, I think, like Coach Smith urges, we need to ground ourselves in the holy. What would that look like? I think that it would be each of us with a practice. Like I urged in one of my sermons in December, what if each of us had a chalice in our homes and each day we lit it with the acknowledgement of the holiness of this land, and also with a few moments or minutes of feeling that interconnected web of life that stretches from us to all beings. The connections we have to each other, to the trees, to the javelinas, the people who are in trouble around us, the people who are living, as Jack mentioned, the children who have no homes, the people too who are experiencing joy, and the places in this community and earth where we need to send our hope for healing. What if we each too, in addition to that, spent some Sabbath time I spoke about a year ago, time apart on a Sunday afternoon, keeping ourselves away from shopping, from all those things we think we need or want, and simply be present to our loved ones and to this earth. I believe that this grounding would make a big, if unseen, difference in the way that we engage with people. I believe that this sanctuary would feel different without doing anything at all, even with this blasted carpet. Because when we are with each other, just as those runners running the race, we are in the moment, present. People who come to us for the first time or after an absence would feel more connected after a conversation. All of us would have a greater chance at that ephemeral state of belonging. And I also think that we have to make room in our hearts, and I wish we could do it physically, reaching in there and pushing and making space in our hearts for more people to love. Often I hear people say, I have all the friends I need. Well, in this time of clearing, there may be a couple you could clear out and leave some room. Or maybe you just need to make a bigger space. Or maybe we need to think like my mother did about dinners, because my father would invite everyone who was unknown to him to our Sunday dinner. And she would always say, there's always room for one more. And sometimes there were 5 more. I think that's something else that is needed, that completely changes our interactions with others and the work of this congregation, is this. And I'm going to tell you a story about years ago when we were living in Japan and we bought an old farmhouse with a leaking roof, rats, and a rotten foundation. And it had an open fire pit in the living room that was the source for heat. And after we bought that place, little by little, our eyes opened to the extent of the renovation. Much less than this room, I can tell you. It was overwhelming. A carpenter came with his crew on 4 Sundays. They took their days off to make that place livable. We wanted them to continue every Sunday, no days off. 4 days of work on that old house was not enough for us. So we went to the carpenter's wife, who was our dear friend, a woman we called Oka-san, which is mother. And we said, Oka-san, do shimashou, what can we do? We have these needs, huge needs. We could see the outcome. She said, what you need to do is be thankful. Be thankful for what has already been done. So we went to the liquor store and we bought a case of beer, huge Ichiban Shiboris. And we took them to the carpenter's house and we knelt on the floor and bowed our heads to the floor. This was shocking when my father saw me do this. And we thanked the carpenter. And we did not ask for anything. And this practice of finding gratitude, no matter how much you wanted something, and expressing that gratitude became our foundation during a 3-year process of renovation. I wonder if we could infuse gratitude into our own refurbishment or renovation of this building. I think it's very important to infuse gratitude in that. I think that may have been what Lydia was talking about when she was asking us to speak respectfully about this sanctuary. Looking back on the last couple of years, I realized that I came through the gates of the pandemic, which is not really over. I mean, we had a COVID explosion a couple of weeks ago. I came out of that time impatient. I wanted things to happen. I wanted an outcome. I love to check off things. I've done it. I love that. It's one of my favorite feelings. Sometimes on difficult times, if you look through my journals, I have shower. But I realize, looking back, that impatience is not useful to facilitate an outcome. I think I needed those 500-mile walks I started to go on because at last I felt that I was accomplishing something and I could come to you with that feeling of accomplishment. I was able to breathe, feel the earth under my feet. I invite you to breathe with me and let us feel the earth under our feet. Let us feel the journey that we are in the midst of. Let us be present. There it is, our need for a foundation of mindfulness. Another of Coach Mike's winning strategies is to have fun. He encourages team building, community building through enjoying time with each other. If we are a team, then the burden is not just on one or a few shoulders. And in the past year, I want you to know that I think you've been doing a great job at this. We've been having auctions that were great fun, gatherings, and we have taken as many possibilities as we could to dance, which is my favorite. We danced after an awards dinner, we danced after my installation, and we invited a klezmer band twice where we danced around. We even had a fun Christmas Eve play, and I'm not going to imagine that was the COVID spreader. I believe we're looking like a group that someone might want to join, that I might want to join. And we're having monthly birthday parties right after our services, as we are today. And under Chris Hawthorne's leadership, the fun level of our coffee hour has skyrocketed. Don't you all agree? Yes. Yay. Thank you, Chris. I don't think he's here. He's in the kitchen. Whew. He's getting ready for coffee hour. And I believe that if we could make our own daily practices, if we grounded ourselves in mindfulness and gratitude, I think that we would be heading into a beautiful future together. And as I thought of that future, I couldn't help but notice the enormous challenge that is facing us. Come to your mind, anyone? A challenge that could plunge us out of mindfulness and gratitude and into despair and grumbling negativity. Any guesses? We are heading into an election year. And I wonder, though, if using these ideas, if there could be a way for us not to just weather the coming months and be beaten down by them, but to flourish during this time. Certainly, we need the spiritual preparation and mindfulness, gratitude and fun. But how can we not be fixed on winning? Because that's what we do during election years. How can we be fixed on winning? Could we realize, like Coach Mike, that that doesn't make us win? What do we need to fix our sights on? How do we stay with this journey? What if we concentrated instead of on winning, but on being present to the people around us, on listening? What if we set our sights on making that divide disappear? But going even deeper, what if we concentrated on the humanity in all humans around us and had conversations? What if we worked at becoming neighbors? I know many of you are engaged in this work. Mary Lou and I decided when we moved here over 4 years ago, we had to engage in neighboring. And what naturally developed was being present to people who lived around us. When we stood with our neighbor yesterday in the freezing morning cold, the coldest morning we'd had so far, and those of you from Michigan are thinking, but our blood is different now. As we stood with him, we heard of cancer that may have returned. We stopped ourselves from telling him one of our cancer stories. We just stood with him, not for long, but we stood with him. And we'll be thinking of him Tuesday when he is having a biopsy. Some people have come to think that if we just concentrate on neighboring, we can change this nation and this world. I wonder if we are doing our best for our country if we take the time to be present to the people around us, not just the people we like, but the people in supermarket lines and in everywhere we end up being, even if we were parked by somebody who has a bumper sticker we hate. The outcome of elections is extremely important. And I believe that we need to do the work of stitching together this broken nation, of applying love to those wounds and presence to the hurting places. Coach Smith wants to have a team that is whole and happy no matter what the outcome. They're together in training, laughter, and mindfulness. Let us do this work as a congregation and as a neighbor. May we each find our way to be part of this work that will lead to the moment when we say, "Whew, surprise, my gosh, we've reached all these goals we wanted to. What happened?" May we make this a new kind of year. May we feel gratitude for all that is, for there is so much that is. And now I'm handing you all, and you on Zoom, the baton. You catching it? Okay, everybody getting it on Zoom? Okay. Amen, and may it be so. And now let us rise in body or spirit and sing, "Guide my feet while I run this race." I have chosen a song written and performed by Jewish and Arab interfaith singers. This is a Jewish-Arab peace song, because we must keep believing in that which we even think may be impossible. We have connections between us of which our parents never dreamt. We have discussions among us that were never before heard. We are here for everyone. We are a bridge and a ladder for all those who dream, for all those who have dreamt, and still in our lifetime and still in our days, we sing with our voices. We brought peace upon us, peace upon us. If your feast becomes mine, your faith and your dreams too, then we can build a new world of love and peace. When the intention becomes clear, all people become human, a family drinks from the same cup, the cup of peace, from the cup of peace. Amen, and may it be so. And now we go to experience the beautiful celebrations of birthdays and extinguish our chalice with these words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now is the time for those of you who are on Zoom to go in breakout rooms or race towards us in your cars on newly plowed roads to have cake with us. Well, I think the breakout rooms are winning. And I also want to especially tell you that since we have been experiencing COVID, it is on the rise in the world, not just among us. I'm asking all of us who are here to, it's such a happy time, but don't hug Judy. Hand her something that is like a rain check. Hug you later. I've had this request. I didn't make it up on my own, but we really need to be careful. So especially sometimes I just reach for people, and this is a good thing to do when somebody does that and you're thinking, oh my heck, they're reaching for me, is do this. Everybody want to try? Okay. I go like this, you do? Perfect. Okay. So now, would any of you who are visiting like to introduce yourselves and tell us where you're coming from? We have an incredible, the birthday party, the birthday invitees are here.